Okay, so yeah, I was just saying that building with God, just to summarize, is having an awareness of God's will for your life, and your God-given purpose and your calling, um, having that in mind and subduing those things that your flesh desires to favor and alignment with God's will and to take steps forward with Him involved. So it's not just I just feel like owning a skincare brand. I'm just gonna build a skincare brand. It's about really just asking God, why am I here? Is this what you have, willed for me to do? Have you given me the talent and the skill set to do this? Is this what you'll have me do? That is the question to ask. Is this what you'll have me do? And God speaks. He's always speaking. So it's giving room, leaving room for God's input as you take steps towards, you know, um, whatever it is that you want to do. So it's hearing from God before, taking steps forward. I think that's what that means to me, AJ.
Okay, thank you so much. My network is still bad. I don't know if it's just me and everyone can hear perfectly because it's a bit okay, please you guys should
Yes, we
confirm that
can
it's
hear perfectly.
I can hear perfectly.
It's
okay,
breaking
so
on
I
my end
probably need
too.
to dial in again. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the next question, thank you, Teni, for that. And let me know when you want us to put up the slides as well.
Sure
Okay,
thing.
so yeah, the next question is tell us about your journey of starting Atinudah Concepts, saying yes to God, and what has been a defining moment for you on the building journey.
Okay, so very interesting story with Atinudah Concepts. I did not want to do it. That's the first thing I'll say. Um, if you know, I mean, you read my background out earlier, and I started with Clan, and I did Clan for about 10 years before I then decided to do Atinudah. And, it was very daunting. It's a very daunting feeling. I feel like everyone here can relate. Like, as an entrepreneur, when you start out, you're kind of like, you're wondering if you're going to sell a product, will I ever sell a product? If you're going to, provide a service, will I ever get booked? Like these are questions that you ask, and it seems crazy because everyone around you would be like, of course you're going to sell something, of course someone's going to book you, but at the same time, it's a relevant question, and it's. I feel like everyone's feelings are very valid. Like it's valid to think that you might not get booked, or nobody might buy, to subscribe, or nobody might engage your services. Now, for me, I was petrified. I was like, I've built for 10 years. How, God, it can't be that you think that I'm going to start from scratch. Like, how do I do that? This is a completely different it's just a completely different industry. I have not gone to school for this. Like this will be me just taking a bold. I just felt like I was just reaching. If let me just be honest, and I was like, I'm not prepared to do this. And I actually disobeyed God. I was called in 2020. I was called to do Atinudah Concepts. I was given the name, everything in 2020, but I just refused. I just said I wasn't doing it. I joined prayer calls. Like, when God is like literally looking, like targeting you. So on prayer calls, they'll be like, yeah, there's a woman here, it's been on your spirit to launch this new thing, and God is telling you to go ahead. And I would know it was me they were talking about, but I just ignore it. And this was the first time I came into, this understanding of what it means to disobey God. In 2020, I just refused to launch. And I thought I was justified. I was like, I don't actually have a skill set, I don't know anything about this. All I have is passion, right? I just know that I love it. I just don't have what else. Like obviously I'm going to have to keep my books. I'm going to have to, be able to create concepts. I might have to do some planning. I was just really scared, and I just was not prepared. So in 2021, at the beginning of the year, actually like maybe the first day of the year, I heard clearly, Teni, if you do not do this, you've disobeyed me for a year already, and I'm gracious enough. I've been gracious enough to you. But if you actually do not do this, you are going to miss a window. And then I was like, well, like, how bad could that really be? But then, there was this understanding of a deeper understanding of this is not just about whether I want to say yes to God. This is about me. Actually, this is bigger than me. So God actually told me that he was like, you're selfish because this is not about you. You're making this about you, but this is bigger than you. And that's why I wanted to show, I put together some slides I would like to share, because if you have a full understanding of your purpose, you know that it's not about you. You are, the vessel through which he will manifest his works and his power and his grace. But it's for you to begin to feel like this is about you, this is your bag, blah, blah. Like it's just nothing, it's got nothing to do with that. So I had to actually, the first steps I took to launching Atinudah was, it was an act of selflessness, of me saying, yeah, like I'm actually just going to do this because through this, God's glory will be manifested. And in the end, blessing other people is more important than my comfort zone. So that is how Atinudah came about. On the 4th of January, I've been resting for a long time. And on the 4th of January, I decided not to wrestle anymore. I decided to give in. And I went on, I tried everything. I was like, God, I don't have a logo. And he said, well, there's Canva. Go on Canva. And that's where I discovered the Atinudah blue. It's a blue purple. I hate purple, by the way, but so that's how you know I didn't pick this color. It's a blue purple. It's very distinct. I created a very interesting logo. When I launched, people are messaging me like, this is very interesting. Like, how did you come up with this? And I was like, I don't know. I just went on Canva and they're like, okay, great, we'll still support you. But yeah, maybe look into your logo at some point. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. So yeah, I think that was how it started. Just taking a bold leap of faith, and not being totally sure where I was going to end up, but knowing that this was for the greater good, knowing that this wasn't about me and my comfort zone, and knowing that I was going to eat from God's hand along the way. So that was how it started.
I love that. There's a part of the question I want you to answer: the defining moments for you on building on the journey of building.
A defining moment. So in this line of business, I find that I can't really explain it, because with events, you're constantly seeing things from other people's points of view. You're constantly learning about how to do things differently. It's a constant journey. So to be honest, I can't point to one particular moment. I think that would be tough for me, because for me, if you ask my team, I learn on every single job and I learn something completely different. And for me, the business just that's how we keep growing, because I'm really sensitive. My business is we're very client centric. So there's a lot that we learn because every client is different and their needs are different. And the challenges that we face are different and the solutions we bring to them are different. So it seems like there's a turning point, like a lot. But I think that something I'd like to highlight, something that is more of a realization, and then I'll try and come back. I'll try and just, as I answer this question, I'll try and just rack my brain to see if there's something I'm maybe just taking for granted in terms of the turning points that you asked me to identify. But I think for me, one realization was that really helped me, and that was a turning point for me in my business, was realizing that I didn't have to have the answers. So you know how someone presents a challenge to you, or you're looking at your books and you're like, I have these payments to make, but I don't see the money. And that was something that happened to me at some point. I was like, I need an office space, but I don't see the cash. And for me, I think there was this realization of just knowing that I wasn't eating from my own hand. My company, my business was eating from God's hand. And that just gave me this ease, because, to run a business, you have to do so much. You have to basically be your biggest cheerleader. You have to also be sensible. You have to be creative, have creative solutions. You have to be a leader. And then you also, I think, have to be keyed into God, like your spiritual like journey and maturity is extremely important. So there's a lot of different things to navigate, and there's a lot of things to actually like try to balance at the same time. And the added stress of, oh, what am I going to eat? How am I going to pay my stuff? That is something that can be very anxiety inducing. And I really just have to learn that, you see, in all of this, I'm like a bird. I don't know where I'm going to find my next meal. I don't know where my next job is going to come from. But I'm just going to trust God. And I just told God, I said, I'm starting to feel like this woman in the Bible who every single day she would go to her, like she had the oil jar, and like, I can't remember the story completely, but I know that her oil jar, after she was blessed, she never ran out of oil. So I was like, God, this is for me. Like, this is me. As I busy myself with vendors who do not want to listen or are doing the wrong things, or just trying to make sure that the event is going well, listening to clients, just everything that goes into planning events. I said, as I busy myself with that, I'm just going to leave provision in your hands. And I think that was a turning point for me. Like the grace, the ease that came after that, I can't explain it. Like in terms of even like the way I'm able to focus, because to be able to create, you need to focus. And whether you're a creative or not, every business leader has to be a creative, like you have to be creative with solutions, with finding solutions. And so you don't want to be bogged down with, how much do I have? How am I going to pay salaries? Leave that with God. As you continue to hone in on your skill sets and develop yourself, God will see you making moves for Him and trying to use your skill set to bless other people. And because of that, He will reward you. So that was a turning point for me, because I found that realization allowed me to experience a new type of grace, a new type of ease. And something I get when I go to like events. Sometimes people come to me and they're like, "Are you the planner?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then they walk away and they come back in. Sorry, I just wanted to confirm. Are you the planner? I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure because you're so calm." And I said, "Well, under God's grace, there's peace. So I'm not going to worry about how this is all going to come together. If you think that it's me that's doing this, that's where you're wrong. It's God. Every step of the way, everything that we do, it's God." So that's something that really helped me, because before there was a lot of anxiety on like jobs, like, is this going to happen? Are they going to deliver this? And it's just like, God, I just leave everything with you. You know that I've done the work. You know that I trust you 100%. It's now time for you. Me, I can do 5%. It's time for you to do the 95. And I trust you that you will, because this God that we serve is the kind of God who will leave the 99 to chase after one person, just want to get to win one soul. So for me, if that's the kind of God who's always chasing us, who's always, like trying to help, always trying to engage, that is the kind of God that we serve, then there's nothing you can't do. The possibilities are endless. And I think that is something that really, really helped. In terms of if you want something that's more like, maybe, I don't want to say less spiritual, but something that's a bit more tangible in terms of turning point, I think for me, I had to take a big leap of faith with decor. Now, generally what I would do when I started was to create concepts, and I would engage people to execute my concepts, because I secretly didn't want to get into the nitty-gritty of production or dimensions or, just technical stuff. I didn't want to get into that. And it was because I was scared that, look, I haven't gone to school for this, so I just didn't want to put myself out there. And one thing I learned is that if you have pride as a business owner, your pride will limit you, because on the other side of pride is a humility that allows you to learn and allows you to make mistakes. And it's through those learnings and those mistakes that you actually begin to learn some skills. You learn how to be creative, you learn how to trust God, and you learn how to let Him build you. And that is something that, for me, I was proud. I was like, why do I have to, like, why do I have to admit that I don't know what to do with decor? Like, why do I have to study? Why do I have to do research? Why? Why do I have to learn how to? I know how to create a concept, but why do I have to? Because that was my gift. My gift is, the concepts and things. That's what God gave me. But then I needed to put that into practice. At that point, I would rather give someone else the work to do. Like, okay, please execute this concept. But God said, Teni, this year, and this was last year, God said, I want you to begin to work on your own, to execute your own concepts. And at first I was like, it's not necessary. Like, I'll just keep working with other people. And then a job came, and that's how God works. A job will just come where it's you that has to do it, because the model that I had working with other people, it's more expensive for the client. So this client said, no, this is what I want, and I want you to do it. And I said, wow, no, there's no reason for that. Like, I know other people that can. He said, no, it has to be you. And I did it. And I'm still here. I didn't die. So it is possible. But the humility that I had to learn to do it, I think that was what God wanted. That was what God required from me, just to be humble and to allow him to show me that there's nothing that he cannot do. And yeah, so that's something that's been a turning point for my business, because to be honest, working with other people, I love it. I love collaborating. But then it gave my team a new type of confidence, knowing that, they could do decor. And that's something that I've seen really transform, them as individuals. They have this can-do spirit, they're excited. They feel like they're not just limited to planning. And it gives like a more 360 kind of experience for the clients, customer experience for the clients. So I think that's something that would be a turning point for me in a maybe more tangible way.
I love that. There's something you said that really stood out to me, and it was about pride. Just the fact that if you have pride as a business owner, you won't thrive, because there's so many things that God might be opening up your mind to, but you feel like, well, I just want to stick to this one bit that I can do. And then you're not allowing him to really stretch you and move you in the way that he wants to. And I can totally relate to that. And I loved when you said through humility, you learn how to trust God. I think that is so powerful. And please let me know when you want us to share the slides as well.
Okay. I think I'll listen out for your next question, and then if I think that it's a good time, then we can go ahead.
Okay. So before we go to the next question, there's something I experienced. So I came to your studio and I met your team, and you had put them in different, what do you call it now, different teams, and named the teams. But one thing I noticed was just how you were with your team. It was almost like you were mommy bear or something, or you were like, I don't even know what to call it, but there was just so much fun and excitement in the studio and in the office. And I just wanted, just for anyone who is here who has a team as well, and also wants to build that level of, I don't know, would I call it trust, or people just really enjoying what they do and delighting in it. How have you created that culture?
So basically, I think just the background that I have, I myself, when I started working in fashion, I didn't go to school for fashion. So I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I worked with my mom in the old maybe apprentice style, where it's just whatever I was told to do, I did. And that's how I learned how to decipher a body shape, or decipher someone's like size from just looking at them. I've done consultations with brides for my mom for about 10 years. I still do them now. So I learned a lot through learning. And so when it was time for me to do my own I guess my own business and hiring people, I looked out for people who wanted to learn. I didn't hire anyone that knew it all. So in a sense, because I also am learning on the job, I don't want anyone to come in and be trying to like lord it over anybody, or try to be doing madam. Like, that's not my style. So I just I looked for like almost like uncut gems, like people who have the character and who also had this. And sometimes, just there's no bias against religion or anything, but for me, I felt like it was easier for people who had a similar understanding or of God's grace, to understand that this is not, we don't know it all. but we're going to get there together. And that was kind of how I decided to hire my staff. So they all know that it's only by God's grace that they're here. It's only by God's grace that, every event that we do, comes together. And it's only by God's grace that we have the opportunity to build together. And that is the culture. So the two teams that you talk about, we have two teams. And I let them name themselves. Well, they didn't in the end, so I named them. The first team is called Ginger Girlies, because those ones are always ready to go any minute now. They're just like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, and they bring a lot of energy to the team, and I love that. So I put them on events that need a lot of energy. And then there's the other ones, Team Soft Life. Those ones are bougie. They want all the cute events, like bridal showers or baby showers or birthdays. They don't want to do corporate events, although I push them. So it's not every time they get an event that is, up their alley, because they have to keep growing. So yeah, this is all about us. We're all being trained. And it's a training ground. And it's surprising that you say like mommy bear with them, because they do call me mommy, even though I've asked them to stop. But yeah, it's fun because we're all learning and no one is perfect, and we know that God's grace will see us through. So yeah, that's how we built.
Do you know what? I love that so much, because when you think about success and you think about people, succeeding in business and just doing amazing things, what you can imagine is, this woman who comes in and she's like, oh, do this, do that. Have you sorted this out today? Is this done? Is this done? Is this done?
I still am that person.
Do that. Yeah, I know. But there was something about the joy in the way that they performed what they do, even when they're researching stuff and things like that. Like, there was just a joy that I had to, it's not that easy to see anyways, especially because in these times in Nigeria specifically, when you hire people, as you said, sometimes people already feel like they know everything. And so that teachable spirit isn't there. And because the teachable spirit isn't there, it's so hard to be able to, really transform them in the way that you would want to. And so, yeah, I just find it very interesting that you said that, because it's so important. Like, hire people who want to learn, who don't feel like they're everything. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's still occasionally you hire someone and I do still hire some people who think they know it all, but I notice the gaps when I'm speaking to them on the interview, but I won't point it out. But when I'll put them in a situation that requires them to grow. And so when they start coming, because at first I'm like, okay, so how's the project going? And they're like, oh, it's going well, this, that. And then you see them like mid-project having to humble themselves to come and ask that, okay, so I'm actually having a challenge with this. Or maybe on the day, they wait until the day, if their pride is a lot, they wait until the day for something to happen. And at that point, I just have to pray to God that he sorts it out. But in those moments, they learn that, had I been humble, I won't have been faced with this challenge. So it's also the way that I like to kind of, I give them that room to grow and to learn and also to make mistakes. Because there was a time when I was so mistake averse. I was like, no, we can't make mistakes. We have to get everything right. But then one of them told me that, look, like, I have to make my mistakes to learn. And I was like, that's very costly. But then I said, it's a price I'm willing to pay for them to learn, because the chances of them making the same mistakes 10 times over, if it affects them, and I'm not talking about money, because I also have a thing against, deducting people's salaries. I take more was it Jacob? You know how Jacob had to work extra hard before he got, it was Rachel? I tell them, I said, well, you have two options. You either do the work now and, be steadfast about it and not and have a good attitude, or you have a bad attitude. Obviously, Jacob didn't, but, the amount of time he had to work, I feel like people who have bad attitudes, it takes longer for them to be able to get to where they need to get to. So I tell them, it's up to you. If you want to, although Jacob, for me, did not necessarily have a bad attitude, but if you really want to, if you want someone who's going to just if you want to be the person that just has to keep toiling and toiling to get to where you want to get to, then that's fine. But if you actually, there's obedience. When you're obedient, the grace that you experience is different, and it's in the Bible. You see it, like people who will be usually experience a breakthrough like that. So yeah, and I think another thing to mention with culture is I don't want them to feel like they're constantly behind computers on desks. I've tried to create an environment that feels like a living room. so that they just feel like they're just sitting together, lounging, and hopefully working together. So that also allows them to feel a bit relaxed. It's not like I'm not trying to hit anyone over the head or get them to work, super late hours. It's almost like there needs to be, they also have this willingness to want to work together, and just to chill a bit while they work. I know it sounds weird, but I just try to basically make them feel comfortable so that while they're working, not doesn't feel like they're toiling.
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that, and I love that, and it was evident with the way that the culture is in your team. So my next question is this: what advice would you give women? Yeah, what advice would you give women who are at the early stages of launching a business, especially one that isn't conventional? So it's not a conventional business, and you are at the early stages of launching. What advice would you give?
So I think I kind of had to deal with that, because at the time I came into the business of events, I wanted to do something. I wasn't even trying to be disruptive. I identified the pain points. I felt like weddings I was going to all look the same, parties I was going to all look the same, and I was like, why can't I feel the vibe or the spirit or why can't I feel the spirit of the person that's actually hosting this event? Why does this feel just, I don't even know, like it just feels like whitewashed, like we're just doing the regular things over and over. There's DJ, there's small chops, there's roses on the table. I just felt like I wanted to connect more with the clients or with the celebrants, whoever was, holding the event. And so it was unconventional in the sense that I came in wanting to do something that would allow their objective, their spirit, their joy, all of that to come through and allow them to connect more with the guests. And I didn't know how to do that. I mean, I was a bit worried about starting and then ending up just because it was easier, just ending up like everyone else. And I'm not saying that everyone else is basic. I'm saying that to say that I had a clear picture of what I wanted to do. And I was worried that if I failed, I would just now be another event planner or another like events company, that I wouldn't have achieved what God asked me to do. Now, I think when you're going into a space where you're trying to do something disruptive, you really have to understand that the only person that has the blueprint is God. I had to pray and really just take the time to ask God, how would you have me do this? How do you want me to do this? And he revealed it to me. I have different processes that I have incorporated into my business. And I think I won't go into too much detail, I don't want to bore you, but for me to be able to achieve that goal of being able to be client-centric, I spend a lot of time talking to my clients. I spend a lot of time getting to know my clients. And I think that has really helped me to achieve that goal. So I feel like if you know what it is that you want to do differently, or if you're doing something that is niche, then you have to really understand what your objective is. And then you have to sit down and find and strategize on how to achieve those key strategic objectives. And I think that if you pray along while you do that, I feel like God will give you the blueprints, and he will also bring helpers to facilitate those objectives. So it's a mixture of practicality and faith, because that's just how God works.
I love that. But when you're speaking about downloading the blueprints, I feel like sometimes God wants to speak to us, right? But sometimes we have to wait on him, right? So he might ask today, God, please, what is the blueprint for this business? And it might not come today. It might come, I don't know, in a month's time. It might come in like 6 weeks' time. It might come in 2 months, whatever the case, depending on what God is trying to do. I find that a lot of times people move without fully downloading from God. And it's okay to move and then you hear from God, but is in that place of waiting and saying, you know what, God, even though I'm moving, I'm still trusting you for the blueprints. I'm still here, I'm still asking, I'm still praying, and I'm still trusting you that you will show me exactly how you want me to carry out this assignment, even if it's just for now. What do you want me to do now? What would you have me do now? Because, you know, the vision is for an appointed time. Though it tarries, it will come. But the appointed time, sometimes, you know, it might be in 5 years that the vision will fully actualize, but every single day you're taking steps towards that vision. And it's in a place of intentionality and really asking God, you know, per time, per season, what he would have you do. So I really like that. So the question was really around people who are at the early stages of building. And I love what you said about just, you know, downloading the blueprints from God, especially when it's an unconventional business. So if it's unconventional, if you now start trying to do what everyone else is doing, then you move it away from the original intention that God had in mind when he was designing that business. And I love also what you started with, speaking about how it's not about you. Because when you realize it's not about you, then you're not looking too much to what everyone else is doing, because you know that God is doing a new thing. And that new thing he wants to actually actualize in your life and in your business. And so, you know, the focus is not on, oh, you know, I want to make money and look at what everyone else is doing. The focus is on, oh, and I just want to have a solid plan and a solid purpose for my life or whatever. The purpose is, God, what are you doing in the world today? And what are you doing in the kingdom? And how would you have me partner with you? You know, how would you have me partner with you?
Exactly. It's a partnership with God to reveal his glory. That's why we're here. We sometimes get confused because, you know, this world is so tempting. So many nice things here. You know, it's nice for people to hail you, to call your name, to say you're the best. It feels great. But, you know, we're not here for that. We're not here for public validation. You know, for us, it's actually better if God is pleased with us. It's such an amazing feeling. And what it begins to even draw and attract to you is something you cannot really explain. So I feel like, and this would probably be a good time to share the slides, because it took me a long time to understand that I'm not here to be the best or the greatest. I'm here to glorify God through the works of my hands. I'm here to bless other people. I'm here to serve. I'm here to sacrifice my time for other people. And that's what Jesus did. So sometimes it can be difficult because, you know, when you have a calling, it means you're good at something. It means that you know, there's something that God has, a skill set God has given you. But there's this temptation to become proud and to be boastful, you know, and that's one of the things that I've noticed. It's everywhere, and it's so tempting. So I feel like you have to understand that this is a gift, and everything that we have is borrowed. It's God that gave it to us, and he can take it away at any time. So while you have the chance, while you have, and there's this, I think there's a song, or it's a song, it says, wait, while you have breath in your lungs, you should praise God. And it for me, when I listen to that song, I'm like, while I have the ability to use my gift to edify him, let me do it. Right. And you'll notice that some of those, when you do that, you do your best work because it's a partnership with the Holy Spirit. And then you begin to download things straight from heaven. So I'm sorry if the blueprint thing sounds a bit weird. Like, it probably does sound weird because it's there's a part of it that's spiritual. But, you know, as I've said, blueprint, please still do your research, you know, because God also needs something to work with. He needs you to be able to dedicate yourself to something and continuously try to get better. You're not going to just get there by not doing anything or not trying to grow. So yes, I just wanted to share this because I did this a long time ago, and I find myself returning to it sometimes when I feel a bit like disconnected. So this is something I put together, I think, in 2021, and we're just going to run through what it means to honestly find your purpose. So a lot of people are trying to find their calling. The truth is, your calling is already there. It's just that you need to now find a way to connect everything together: your calling, your talent, your skill sets, and, you know, in so doing, then, you know, discover your purpose. So if we can please go to the next. I'm just going to make sure they're in the right order. Okay, the next slide should be this. Okay, so just to explain very quickly, sorry, yeah, thank you. just to explain very quickly, on the left you have purpose, and on the right you have calling. And your purpose is generic, so it's broad, right? And it's not just one thing. It's the intersection of a couple of things, which I'll explain. And under your purpose, you're going to express your authentic self. So there's a part of being, and that's why a lot of people say, don't look at other people and envy them. Because honestly, firstly, if you walked a mile in their shoes, you might not be happy at the end of it, or your purpose is very specific to you and has to allow you to express yourself. So if you find that you're doing something that doesn't allow you to be your authentic self, it might not be your purpose. It's the reason that you live. That's the reason that, like, it's the reason you live. It's what like lights your heart on fire. And it's your destination. It's where you're getting to. It's a state of being. It's not a specific thing, right? It's a state of being. It's a state of being grounded, being aligned, being your authentic self, and being a blessing to other people. A calling is specific. It's something you can see. It's tangible. So it's unique talents, its abilities, its spiritual gifts, and it usually manifests as a job. But it's a vehicle to get you to where you're going. So in that sense, you are doing. Now, people who only have a calling and do not care so much about the purpose, because when you have a calling, like, for example, you can be a really good doctor and you're just good at being a doctor. You're amazing when it comes to performing surgeries. You're able to really you heal a lot of people, but you are not looking at it through the lens of, how can I partner with God to make this more than just a job? How can I take this further and bring in the Holy Spirit? If you do that, that would open you up to your purpose and allow you to reach more people. So if we please go to the next slide. Yes, so your purpose is the intersection between your passion, your calling, and God's grace. So I was trying to explain before. It's a more robust picture. It allows you to hone your skill sets while you express your authentic self. And it's now fused with God's grace. So God is now adding that extra sprinkle on it. And it now means that you are just, the reason I went with this imagery is that middle point, that's the bull's eye. That's you literally thriving. This is what it feels like, or means, a visual representation of thriving. When you have your passion, something you love, something your heart burns to do, and you're also mixing that with your skill sets, and then you have God's grace. That is something that is just so, it's mind-blowing. It's like an explosion, and you feel great while you're doing it. You're less bothered about being the best. You're more about touching lives, reaching people. You're more about, bringing God's spirit to bear in everything that you do. So this is what your purpose is. If we go to the next slide. Sorry, can we go to the one that says, what is your passion? Okay, so just to explain what your passion is something that gives you boundless energy and intense, almost single-minded focus, as well as the willpower to overcome in the face of the most daunting obstacles. So this is basically telling you that when you have a passion for something, there is nothing that's going to come up that's going to make you say you don't want to do this anymore. I feel that way about events. Like, there's nothing that's going to, like, you can wake me up in the middle of the night. I can maybe not have eaten for 2 days, but I'm still talking about this event. I'm still talking about how I'm going to, like, this has to come together. Like, it's basically something that makes you burn, like your soul burn, like you're just so happy and so you're on fire to actually do this thing. And so it's basically something that only you would know, because it's a feeling that you get when you talk about this thing, or when you're engaged in the act of doing this thing. So if anyone has any questions, by the way, please feel free to ask. But I think the next slide should be your calling. So just going to try and like juxtapose both of them, your calling and your passion. Your calling is a role or position given to you by God, which draws on your unique talents, abilities, and or spiritual gifts. It is as unique as a fingerprint. Now, when we say that there's enough space for everybody in this world, it's because it's true. Everybody has a unique calling. No two people have the same calling. In fact, if you feel like you do, if you now actually partner that with your passion, you will notice that it's not the same, because it can't be. Not two people cannot burn, with passion for the same thing and have the same exact skill sets. And then when God comes in and partners with that, produce the same result, which is why there's definitely enough space in this world. If you find yourself looking at other people, it's because you haven't come to understand the fullness of your purpose. You don't understand that this is a partnership with God, and that if you connect your passion, whatever sets your soul on fire, with your calling, your unique ability, you will produce amazing results. And so that's what your calling is. So just know that everyone on this call, please know that you're extremely blessed, you're special, you've been set apart. And there's something inside you which God has put excellence. You might not know it yet, but if you actually apply yourself to something, or if there's a skill set you know about, because some of us, we know our skill sets, but we haven't quite found our passion to be able to connect, both together. So it feels like we're running out of steam, because passion is what keeps you going. Well, some of us know that we're passionate about something, but we haven't yet found how to bring that to bear through a skill set. So maybe we need to pray to God to reveal what the skill set is, and for us to hone in on that skill set so that we can then connect the dots. So we all have a calling. We all have unique abilities and talents and spiritual gifts. We also all have passion. We just need to find out what those things are. You were saying something, IJ, that waiting period, right? A lot of people take it to mean that they're going through strife, that God is not listening, God is not seeing them. It's not that God does not see you, it's that you don't see yourself. Whenever you're waiting for something, it's almost like you don't have the full vision. And the reason why is because you are either stuck on something you're waiting for an intended result. You want things to go a particular way. So you are momentarily blinded. Or God already spoke, but you ignored that. And so you need to go back to what he said. Now, in those moments where you feel like you are waiting and waiting and waiting, I've learned to practice this thing of going back to what God last said, or removing any kind of bias, any kind of thing that is stopping me from realizing the will of God. Once you surrender yourself to him, you'll find that it's easier to identify your calling. It's easier to identify your passion. So that's what I wanted to say about waiting. It's not indefinite. It's a lot of the time we are the ones who decide how long we want to be in the waiting room. And our God is a gentleman. He'll tell you, don't worry, I have time. Like, feel free. Like, we're going to do this together. And I find a lot of the time when I actually just surrender and walk in total alignment, the results are quick. That's how our God is. So if we go to the next slide, please. Just to understand which is more important, because I know that a lot of people face this thing of, okay, so purpose, calling, like, do I need both? Can I, like, can I have both? And which is more important? Which do I prioritize? The truth is, you need all. But just to explain even further, discovering or owning your calling is centered around building yourself up and honing your skill set or talent specifically. This is important, but it gratifies only you. So if just being good at doing events is what I'm after, like, if that is what I'm truly about, I can spend time building myself up, reading the books, traveling, going to trade shows, meeting like industry experts. But that is only really going to bless me, because everything I'm going to be doing is all about gratifying myself, and being, I don't know, in different publications and being the go-to person. And, that's why some people, they earn so many accolades and they feel empty, because purpose cannot, for you to discover your purpose, it cannot gratify you alone. Purpose it allows you, while you have built yourself, to be able to bless other people. So that's what the next part says. Stepping into your purpose takes your calling further by enabling you to serve God and others, and in so doing, experiencing the highest level of impact. Now, that word is important, because being impactful is not just about being good at what you do. It's about blessing other people and blessing yourself and gratifying God while you do that. And it also unlocks fulfillment whilst being your authentic self. When I read this, I feel grounded because I understand that I can have it all with God. It's if I decide I want to just build myself and keep my talent to myself, which is why in the Bible, the person that kept buried their talent in the ground was the one who was chided. That, why would you do that? You didn't, because he was like, look, I don't want to risk anything. I'm just going to bury it. There's no point. But God requires us to go out there and to spread love, to spread his glory, to bring his glory to bear by blessing others through the work of our hands. And you can see that God is such a benevolent God because he wants us to feel like us while we do it. He doesn't want us to do something out of character. So if you wake up one day and you just feel like, oh, I just want to be a doctor. Doctors just make so much money, blah, blah. You can see that you're already stepping away from what God might have called you to do because you're not looking at what you already have. You're not working with what you already have. You're looking outside, and that's going to mean that at some point you might find yourself striving, God forbid. So yes, going to the next slide, please. We're almost done. It should say the link between your calling, purpose, and acts of service. So this is actually in the Bible, in Romans 12:11-13. And it says, never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble and keep on praying. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. And so I think that this kind of just links everything together because it's talking about, in terms of purpose, it's telling you to be ready to help other people and to practice hospitality. In terms of your calling, it's talking about working hard, right? Like, because at first I was like, why work hard here? Like, this is just telling you to be a Christian, but this is telling you that while you're being a Christian, God is still asking you to use your skill set to bless others. So that's why it starts with never be lazy, but work hard, because it's through the work of your hands that you're going to serve God and you're going to bless other people, right? And help to relieve hardship and help to just, bring people closer to God. So yes, and it says be patient in trouble. It's telling you that you're going to go through hard times, but that you should keep on praying. He's asking you to be close to him and to rejoice in confident hope. Hope is not something it's not an assurance of something you can't see it. It's not instant gratification. It's you actually saying, I trust in you, Lord. And that's what I'm trying to explain. That when I go to events and something is going terribly wrong, I'm just like, you know what? I have confidence. I rejoice in confident hope because this is going to turn around. I just know it. I just know today is going to be a good day. I can't tell you why, but I'm serving God enthusiastically, and I just have confident hope, and I just know that God cannot fail me. And when trouble comes, I'm going to be patient. I'll just keep on praying. And if anybody needs anything from me, what do you need? Is it puff puff? Is it, I don't know, do you want a drink? Do you want Chapman? Sure, anything you need, because God is here. So honestly, this blessed me. Sometimes we read Bible verses and it doesn't quite register, but when you read it over and over again, you see the instructions and it shows you that God already thought about this. I'm sure there's several other Bible verses. I trust IJ to dive into the word and bring them out for us on this call if needed. But honestly, this one was the one I found that really spoke to me. And our ultimate goal is the next slide. Sorry, I should have arranged these in order. Okay, so this, from my own perspective, after I prayed on this and asked God to illuminate my heart with understanding, what I got was, our ultimate goal is to live an authentic life where the driving force of our existence, our passion, intersects with our unique abilities, our calling, and produces an outcome, purpose, where we are not solely doing, but instead being our authentic selves, whilst enriching the lives of the people around us through God's divine grace. This is the goal. This is your purpose. It's not about being the best. You can see here, I didn't write the best doctor, the best this, the most acclaimed, world acclaimed. It's not about that. It's about a feeling of centeredness and grounding and authenticity that allows you to bless other people. That is what is important. That is how we edify God. And the final slide is to say your calling is the conduit to your purpose. This is just to encourage everyone here. If you have a calling, if you've identified your calling, understand that that is not the end goal. It's supposed to help you in tandem with your passion to discover that place where you are grounded and able to serve other people enthusiastically and have confident hope and just have that peace, that you experience as you serve other people. And it's how I think, honestly, it's how those birds that God was saying, they don't worry about anything. It's how they feel, because they're just like, look, I'm just going to go about flying around, doing what I need to do. And I just know that God is already there. God is already blessing me. God has got me. So I'm good. Like, I know that, as I remain grounded and I do because what is a bird called to do? A bird is called to fly, So as they continue to fly and do whatever it is that they do, God is still there. And that is the kind of God that we serve. So yes, thank you very much. I think we've just gotten to the 10 o'clock mark. I don't know what other questions you had for me. I don't want to.
I mean, I feel like we can skip all the questions, but thank you so much for that. I thought that was very clear, and I feel like there are people on this call who needed that as well. And with your permission, we would like to share the slides as well to everyone. Okay, awesome.
I can actually share the link. It's actually on my page, so I'll share that with you as well. But if you have a better way of sharing it, please feel free.
Okay. And then the last question is just whatever God has laid on your heart to say directly to every single woman who is on this call right now. What would that be?
Wow. I want to say God bless you. I want to say well done. Thank you for everything that you do. Your contributions, they're truly valuable. I don't know each and every one of you. I don't know what your story is. I don't know what you're navigating right now. But I want to say that it actually takes a very it takes a bold woman to continuously show up in the world every day and to continuously try to navigate all the different nuances that we face, all the different difficulties, all this these everything is so subtle these days. It's hard to really pick up on these microaggressions around you and all these little setbacks. It's hard to explain to people, but I see them, and honestly, I know that it takes a lot of dedication and courage to wake up every day and to continuously pour yourself into what you do. So firstly, well done. And I just pray that God will illuminate your heart and your mind with understanding of his word and his perfect will for you. I pray that you step into grace and that you begin to function under the ease that only he can provide. Like, God is a gracious and benevolent God. He wants to bless you. He wants to partner with you. He wants to bring about stunning and amazing results, like things that this world has never seen or heard of. And I'm so excited to see God do these things in and through you. As women, we do such a good job of supporting ourselves, and I want all of us to continuously do that. Like, you never know how much a kind word will do for someone. Like, there's some people who have poured into me on days where I was literally thinking, I don't know about this thing anymore. I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Just a kind word, you don't know how far it goes. So I encourage us to continue to bless each other with words of encouragement and just to support each other in any way that we can. And I'd also like to say thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for I'm going to go through the chat just to see all the messages that you've left. But thank you for engaging. I appreciate it. You don't know how much you poured into me today, just being here. So thank you very much. And also to IJ and the Built to Last Women team, I just like to say thank you. Like, you guys are doing an amazing job to get us to convene like this. It's extremely important. I didn't even know this existed. I'm a bit embarrassed by that. But definitely I'll keep following this. And I can't wait to see the amazing things that this platform will do for women in our immediate environment and beyond. So thank you for sharing this with us, IG and team. We're very grateful.
Thank you so much, Teni. But I wanted to see if anyone had any questions, so we can take 1 or 2 questions just before we go. But if we don't have any questions, then we can pray. I just feel led that we close this in prayer. Just for anyone who is confused, anyone who doesn't understand what their calling is, anyone who is, still trying to figure it out and asking God for guidance and direction, I pray that honestly, the eyes of your understanding is illuminated. You start to see what God is saying to you in this season. You start to partner with God. Your eyes are open to what He's doing in your life, through you, in you. You see your gift and your calling as something that is to the world and not to yourself, and you start to make bold moves. I see God calling us to make bold moves, to step out and do what He's calling us to do, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it's unconventional, even when it seems like there are too many people in that industry, even when it seems like it's not an industry that you're particularly interested in. You start to see that God opens up your eyes to see the role that you play and how that shapes and comes together to form His agenda for the world. A lot of times we think in isolation, but with every single person who is stepping into their calling, God is using you to glorify His name, and also for His agenda to be accomplished on earth. So I just want to pray for everyone for grace, for mercy, for love, for favor. As you build, you start to see the grace of God upon everything you do. You start to see the unforced rhythm of God's grace just flowing through the different things that you do, through your team, through your mind, through your heart. And God just moves in a way that transforms your being and your work. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I think someone had a hand raised, but I can't really see it.
Yeah, I think Tolu had a question. She's asking, how can I find these opportunities that foster learning?
So, yeah, that's actually a very good question, because before it was easier. Like, people would say they're looking for like an apprentice, and then you'd know that they're willing to train.
Maybe
I think internships are a very good way to get into, because what happens is, if you do an internship and you really impress your boss, they might decide to train you. So I think that's probably, as IG said, a very good way to get into an organization that would probably invest in training.
Yeah, and I love what Ibiyemi said as well. She said connect with startups, work with entrepreneurs. So basically, start with internships, and from there you'll be able to find even your passion and what you enjoy doing as well. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. Thank you, Teni. God bless you for doing this. The presentation was amazing. Everything that you shared, in the way that you shared it in your own unique way. Thank you for being on this call and sharing with everyone. God bless all the work of your hands at Atinudah Concepts, everything that you're working on. God continue to bless you.
Amen. So thank you so much.
And welcome to the community.
I still someone here. The Redefined.
Hi. Hi.
Oh, your hand is raised. Sorry. Yeah,
yes, I'm just going to ask. Hi, thank you so much, Teni. Thank you so much, Sagoe, for this platform. I just wanted to ask a question, and maybe speak a bit more specifically, as to what would you say are the actual strategies that you would, actual strategies to start a business, and how do you move from visioning to execution? Maybe speaking more specifically, because I do have an idea that God has placed in my heart for a fashion brand. So maybe
I think we've lost. You're on mute. Okay.
Oh, hi, sorry. I was asking, what are the actual strategies that you would say to start a business, to launch a business? And I was saying, speaking a bit more specifically to, work that you've done with Clan. How do you move from, from the vision board to execution? As someone who is trying to start like a fashion brand, what would you say are like strategies to start and moving from visioning to execution, essentially?
Okay, firstly, congrats on your I guess your new venture. We praise God for the vision that He's given you, and I just pray that He'll give you the grace to be able to actualize it. Fashion is very interesting industry, I'd say. It takes a lot of work, just like any other industry. But I would say that it's important to know exactly what your pain point is that you're trying to address, what pain point you're trying to address specifically. And I would say that you need to understand you need to identify the target audience. So pain point, target audience, and then you need to devise strategies to reach that target audience. Now, it's not just about reaching everybody because there's no brand that can do that. If you go on Valentino and you go on Gucci, different people are following. They don't have the same exact followers. So it's all about your message, your messaging as well. Like, how do you want to reach these people? Where are they? What are the price points that they would purchase like clothing at? And what is your message? Behind every brand there's a message. So, for example, with Clan, myself and my sisters were all about empowering women. And why? I didn't just wake up and want to empower women. My mom is a single mom, so watching her have to be strong and be a provider made me want to see more strong women in our world. So when you see a woman dressed in Clan, you know that this is coming from the point of view of trying to empower women and trying to instill that confidence. So it also needs to be authentic. It needs to be something that you can easily sell. It needs to be a story that you identify with. That's very important because that's what makes a brand. That ability for people to be able to relate with the message that you're trying to put across, and also the quality of the product that you're offering. The product needs to carry your brand message. It also needs to be quality products. And there's different things you need to consider, like supply chains, distribution, design, your creative team, collections, how you want to, what your strategy is. Is it like e-commerce, or is it like a brick and mortar store? A lot of people are moving away from brick and mortar, is more expensive. What are the different things that you need? So sorry, this could become very I don't want to, keep going on and on, but I think I could recommend, there's this I do some mentorship sessions on this there's this platform. Let me see if I can quickly find it. But they're very helpful. It's called the Assembly Hub. So maybe if you go there, they link you up with different designers, different people in the industry that you can speak to, and they basically help. They answer questions and help you just give you some advice on how to build a business. So a bit more practical guidance. I hope that helps. Assembly Hub.
Thank you so much, Teni. It's Assembly Hub, HUB, right?
Yes, I just put that in.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Teni. God bless you. See you guys next week, Saturday, 9 a.m. Take care. Bye.